I know you've talked about wanting a big man, but also wanting a point guard. You've got one scholarship left. Is that what you're honing in on right now?
We are. I think that's important that we continue to add talented, I always say this, people and players, to our roster and depth. It's certainly not the only thing that we're looking at. We've got our antennas up on on some other things as well. But I do think that could certainly be helpful, just to add depth there. Certainly we tried to do that in the fall as well with that class, and now we have an opportunity potentially here to do it in the spring, and we'll see how this thing goes here the next few weeks.
Shed some light on the difference between recruiting the four-year guys, the kids out of high school, versus transfers, because you've had a mix of both of those.
I'm sensing you're in particular talking about fifth years.
Sure, fifth years.
Yeah,
because transfers in general.
Yeah, I think obviously you're trying to get to know them in a really very short a period of time in some cases, although sometimes even when you're recruiting a high school senior, depending on when you get involved or when a scholarship becomes available, it's not always a case just because a kid's a high school senior that you've been recruiting him for 2, 3, or 4 years. That's not always the case. But I think that opportunity presents itself probably more with a high school kid. The one thing about transfers is that a lot of them have been through the recruitment process before. You find, certainly generally speaking, not all the time, but that they like it a little bit more simplistic. They kind of know what they're looking for. They've been through all that. I think just the experience that they've had playing in college, being recruited before in most cases, certainly affects their process the second time around.